welcome back to my channel. So today I am driving out of town. We're gonna go visit some family for the weekend, and this drive is heckin' boring. Okay, so boring. There's like a solid 45 minutes where I have no service, and yeah, so I thought I would pop on here and say hello to you guys, and I thought it'd be fun to just tell you some random things about me, so that my newer viewers can get to know me a little bit better. Some things about me. So a little bit background of my childhood. I really feel like that's a good place to start. I am one of many children. Originally, there was 6 kids. I was the baby of the 6. And my parents were each other's second marriage, and I was a product of their second marriage. Their marriage, you know. Well, they both got divorced again, and they both got remarried. So then my dad got remarried shortly after he met my stepmom, which I love her. And she came in the picture when I was about, I think 7 or 8. I don't remember my age. It's all kind of meshed together. But my parents were divorced, and then shortly after, my dad remarried to my stepmom. And she had 3 kids. So then 6 became 9. I was still the baby of the 9. Still the youngest. My stepmom is Hispanic. Her family is from Mexico. And I really feel like she had a good chunk, a good role to play with me growing up as a child. And so I do take that heritage seriously. And I feel like it's a very strong part of my life. And she's taught me a lot of things that have lasted and shaped the character that I am now. And I give a lot of credit to my stepmother. So, and I'm not saying any names, just out of privacy for all my family members. If they decide to come on my channel in the future, which a lot of them don't even know about it, then that'll be their choice. But out of privacy for my family, I will not be referring to them by their names. So then my mother, my biological mother, she did foster care right after separating from my father during their divorce, and after she did foster care, and she did that for a very long time, and then she ended up adopting 6 foster kids. So then 9 became 15. All of the foster kids or adopted kids now are younger than me. So I was the original baby. I am no longer the original baby. I am 23. So, and a lot of them they're almost all minors. One of them just turned 18. So they're all pretty young. Between the time of when she first started doing foster care and then when she adopted her children and had no other children, no other new children in our house, we had hundreds of kids, it feels like. We had so many people in and out of the home. And there's certain old foster siblings of mine that I still am in contact with, and I do refer them as brothers and sisters. And so outside of the 15, and I'm part of the 15, outside of my other 14 siblings, biological half, step, or adopted, I do have other siblings that stayed in our home that I do still currently talk to, and I do count them as my sister and brothers. I don't think I talk to any of the boys, but I do talk to some of the girls, so more or less sisters. That is a little bit of background about my childhood. I grew up in Idaho. That is where I'm from, is Idaho. I grew up in the Boise area, which is the capital, and I feel totally comfortable saying that because it's such a large place, the Treasure Valley. And I don't live there anymore, but that's where I did grow up. And a lot of my family who was there, a lot of them have moved out of that area. So I grew up in a very large area and it kind of boomed during my childhood. So Tori, when he went to Idaho previously, and we spent some time together there, he explained it as it feels like a really big small town because it has a more home and it as a really big small town, the feeling, the area, it's very kind of country and homey. And then I didn't live directly in Boise, but I lived like 30 minutes from Boise, so within that area. But if you go into Boise, then you're like, oh, this is city life. But where I lived and grew up was not completely city life. So it did feel like a big small town. And I know every corner of that town like the back of my hand. And that is home. Just a little bit about my childhood. A little bit more about me, I guess. Some general stuff is I did go to school all through school in that area. We didn't move out of state during that time. I did visit Kansas City, Missouri when I was like 14, I think. I did visit Kansas City, Missouri, which is where my stepdad is from because my mother did remarry and he didn't have any children. And that's currently the area that my mother lives with those kids, is in Missouri. I did visit there, and then I've gone to Vegas a few times. I've gone to Utah a couple times. And that's kind of about it. I did not travel a lot growing up. We did go to like little towns in Idaho and those few places that I listed, but we did not travel a lot growing up. We never really had the time or the money, especially with living in such a large family. You don't really do stuff like that. Then when I was 16 years old, I graduated high school. My sister Kaden, and I will say her name because she's been on my channel and I've mentioned her multiple times. My sister Kaden, she also finished high school when she was 16, and we are 11 months apart. We are very close, and that's the sister who lives in Wyoming, which is where I currently live. We live in different towns, but we both live in Wyoming currently, and that's part of the reason why I originally moved out of state, was to be closer to her. I finished high school at 16. She was the year before me and I was the year after. But I graduated at 16, and then at 17, I went to a year of community college at the local community college where I lived. I hated it just because I worked so hard to finish school early, and I took a lot of college level, like I could have paid for the college credits, but my family, we couldn't afford to pay for the college credits, so none of them transferred. So I felt like it was very repetitive and I just didn't enjoy it. I did finish that year, and then I was like, I need to do something else. I don't like this. So I decided to go to a beauty school. So I went to cosmetology school. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I think I have. Well, I am a licensed cosmetologist in Idaho. I did finish. I graduated. And I did hair for about, 2 years. I currently am not doing hair. My license is not in any other state. And I don't know if I ever will do hair again. I don't know what the future holds. You never know. You never know. Maybe in the future. I don't know. That is all my, education background. Now, job-wise, I think on my channel it gets a little confusing because I've had a lot of jobs. So my first job through high school, and then when I was 17, when I did community college, I was working at a daycare, and I was a nanny as well. After that, when I turned 18, I started working with disabled adults, and I worked for a couple different companies, but I did that for since I was 18 until last year when I moved out of Idaho to Wyoming. I worked with disabled adults. And then I did hair, I did that through beauty school, and then after I did working with disabled adults, and I did hair. So I did that for a long time. I don't even know, like 4 years? I don't even know, 4 or 5 years I did that. And I worked for a bunch of different companies because they pay like crap, they don't offer benefits, and there's a lot of drama at those agencies. And unfortunately, a lot of the clients are taken advantage of, and it breaks my heart. So it's hard to stay at the same company for that long consistently. So, and then I did hair, and where I mainly did hair was Great Clips. I know there's a lot of crap talked about the company Great Clips. It's actually an amazing company to work for. There are certain things about the company that I do not agree with, but it is a really great company to work for. I made great money working there. But other things about me. So that's my whole job history. And then I've had the past year, because of moving around so much and then getting divorced and having to be an adult and deal with stuff, I've had a lot of jobs, like random jobs. Like I worked at a gas station as an assistant manager. I worked at a property company as an assistant manager. I'm currently a housekeeper at a hotel. So basically, I don't really care. Like, I don't have a passion, like, in a career or in a field. Like, I don't have a passion for any of those things. I'm just paying my bills. Which I know sounds awful and totally sucks, but there's certain things that I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about YouTube. I love it. I take the time. I don't get paid for it, but I love it. I spend a lot of time editing. I really enjoy it. I don't know. It's my thing, guys. I love it. And I hope you love watching these videos. But my biggest dream, which I've always kind of felt this way, is I want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I want to be the one raising my kids. I don't want them being raised by another family member, because they're not their kids, first of all. And I don't want them in a daycare. I worked at a daycare. That was my first job. I worked there for like a year or over a year, or I don't even know how long. A while. It was my first job. So I know the atmosphere of a daycare, and I don't want my kids in daycare. If your kids are not raised, I shouldn't say that, but if you do use daycare, or if other family members help you, there is nothing wrong with that. I do want to clarify that. Not everybody has a choice on what works and what doesn't work. And then also, if you are a working mom, you know what? Good for you. That shit's hard. Pat yourself on the back. So if that's your situation, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me personally, when I have kids, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's not for everybody, but that's what I want. So that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about being a homemaker. I'm passionate about when I have children, I want to be there for them. And I'm very passionate about YouTube. And in the future, that's what I'm hoping to be doing. I don't want to be really working or doing anything else, to be honest. Like, I don't mind working. I'm not a lazy person, but I'm not really passionate about those things, you know? And then also being with Tori, and I love Tori to death, and I want to be with him forever, and I want to have his babies, and he knows that. We will be moving back. We're in Wyoming temporarily, but we will be moving back to where he's from, which is a very tiny town. And we did live there for a little while previously, because part of it has been me trying to take care of stuff and being an adult and deal with my ex-husband and my finances, and I got a divorce and all of that fun stuff this past year. But Tori is also a railroad man. He's temporarily furloughed, and then all this COVID stuff has kind of messed a lot of things up and made things a little complicated. We have worked as a team, rolled with the punches, and we have figured things out together. And I'm very blessed to have a man who is so patient. But once again, I'll be in a small community, so there's not like a lot of job options. So I just, whatever pays my bills. And him and I have already talked. When we are ready to have children, he is totally fine working on the railroad. He can provide for the whole family. He makes plenty working on the railroad. But before we have kids, I'm going to continue to work until we have kids. That's how it's going to be. Currently, our finances are not together, and that's fine. And my goal before we have children is I want to pay off almost all of my debts so that when we do have kids, it's just my basic bills, like my car insurance and my phone bill, you know, that stuff. I am probably going to have my student loans because that's a good chunk, and then maybe my car payment, but I don't owe that much on my car. But I want everything else paid off. I don't want him to have to take this huge chunk of bills just so that I can have my dreams. So I don't mind taking the time and putting in the effort to pay those things off so that when we are ready to have children, it's not going to be that big of a deal for me to stop working. And when we have kids, if I decide that staying home is driving me crazy, I will probably get a part-time job. But it just depends. You never know what the future holds. That's just what I envision. That's what fancies me. But we also live in a small community, and then being on the railroad, they're basically on call 24/7. So it's not like we can plan like, oh, I'm going to work every Monday and Tuesday. You're going to watch the kids. It doesn't work like that working on the railroad. Like, I'm the one who's going to have them 100% of the time because his job schedule is all over the place, which is totally fine. I'm cool with that. And we don't have kids yet, and I'm not pregnant, and this is what the adult mature thing to do is to talk to your partner and decide what you would like that to be. So that is what we have done. So yeah, but eventually we will be moving back to that small community, and let me tell ya, I'm not a small town girl. No, I'm not a small town girl at all. I grew up in such a large, vibrant, mixed cultured family. And I lived in a very large community, especially in comparison to this one, okay? This community that he's from is less than 1,000 people. So those are some random, like, background about me. I don't really have any questions to answer. I don't have anything off the top of my head. I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about me so that I made a little bit more sense.